discuss about one is WPF trees. So what exactly this I mean to say that WPF hierarchy or trees, hierarchy and trees. So basically what exactly this we are going to see, and as well, and we are going to discuss about WPF routed events. So these all we are going to see today. So now let's start about this WPF trees. So what exactly this WPF tree we are going to see. So basically WPF has a two trees. One is logical tree and second is visual tree. So before going to discuss about thing, let me open the paint so that I can explain you. These are very important. So first we need to understand what exactly the how WPF going to be architect itself. So that we need to understand. Why we need to understand this logical trees and visual trees is because so that if we understand the architecture, so that we can write the better code based on our requirement. So that is the reason we would like to know what exactly that hierarchy is. So that is very important. So now this is your WPF application. So you have a basically two trees. One is logical tree, second is visual tree. So what exactly the logical tree I am going to explain you. Let me go to the Visual Studio and we will see. So let me go to the XAML. Yes, this is the XAML code. Now in XAML you are able to see this, right? Windows and grid and stack panel, and inside stack panel you have some sliders, text box, button. So my dear friends, this is called a logical tree. This is called a logical tree. So this is the hierarchy you can see here. So how it is the structured in the structured in the sense it is step by step inside the controls. You can see here, first it is a Windows control, again it has a grid, again it has a stack panel, again it has a button. So this is kind of hierarchy, this kind of tree, it is called logical tree. It is going to, it is a visible tree, I can say. So now the next is very important, visual tree. What exactly the visual tree? Visual tree inside in WPF. So whenever you run the application, so inside the WPF you're going to, it is going to be generate some visual tree. So how we can see the visual tree? Basically, see the idea is you can the 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 logical tree you can easily visible to our eyes. So whereas this logical, whereas this visual tree it is not able to visible to us directly. So how we can see this the visual tree is we need to 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 see the visual tree we need some certain tools required to see the visual visual tree. So what are the tools? Some Snoop tool, something, some tools are there. So with the help of the tools, you can easily see the visual trees. So now let me show you the practical way how the actually the visual tree and actually the uh, logical tree is going to be looked at. So now let me go to the screenshot. Let me open. Why these trees are important? We will discuss that one also. DotnetMaster screenshot WPF. So basically this is the idea, my dear friends. So please understand the what exactly, and very important, and one more point, this is a compulsory interview question. Interviewer going to ask you this question: what is visual tree, what is logical tree, what are the hierarchies are there? So they are going to ask you this question. So please remember. Now you can see here logical tree, Windows. Just now we have seen, right? Logical tree we have seen Windows, grid, stack panel, buttons. These all logical trees. These all logical trees. And it is visible. We can easily see the logical trees in XAML. So now this border, Dotnet, and content presenter and content presenter text box, these all called visual tree. Logical tree is different, visual tree is different. So please remember this point. Interviewer going to ask you this question. What is logical tree? What is visual tree? You need to explain like this. Very simple. There is no confusion. So just you need to remember, logical tree is nothing but which is going to be visible to the end user. I mean to say that any developer easily he can see the logical trees. Like in XAML we have a windows, you have a grid, you have a button. So this is called as logical tree. Whereas the visual tree, we cannot able to see the visual tree. To see the visual tree, we need a certain tools. So different tools are required to see this kind of visual trees. So with the help of tools only we can able to see. So for example, if we have a WPF application, certain tools we need to install. Whenever you run the application, you are able to see this visual tree. So that's you have to remember. That's it about the logical tree and visual tree. So this is a compulsory interview question. They are going to ask you question. What is logical tree? What is visual tree? Just you need to remember these points. Logical tree means in XAML you are able to see the windows, grid, button, all these things are logical tree. Visual tree we are not able to see. With the help of some tools we can able to see. So you need to explain these names also. Border, Adornet, content presenter. It is called as visual trees. So that's it about the visual tree and logical tree. Now our next topic is WPF routed events. What is routed events we are going to discuss. So let me open the paint. So now we are going to discuss about this routed events. Basically routed events are three. In WPF we have a three main. Routed event is nothing but it is a special type of events. In WPF, routed events is nothing but it is a special type of events. So you need to understand. It is very confusing topic, my dear friends, and compulsory interview questions. Compulsory. Without this, WPF interview not going to be happen. So please carefully listen carefully. Routed events is very important and very compulsory interview question and very confusion also. Lot of people get will they will going to get some confusion. So please listen carefully. It's very simple, and you will not get any confusion if you listen properly. So now, so WPF routed WPF, in WPF we have a three different type of routing events. What is routing? What is routed events? Routed events is nothing but it is a special type of events. In WPF, routed events is nothing but it is a special type of events in WPF which is not present in Windows form. Routed events are not present in the Windows form. That's you need to remember. The first point. The second point, what are the different types of the routed events? So now in WPF we have a three different types of the routed event. The first is direct routed events. So let me write it down. Direct event. Direct event. The second is bubbling event. The third is tunnel event. My dear friends, this is a compulsory interview question. Please remember. So WPF routed three types of events are there. Three type of events are going to support in WPF. One is direct event, bubbling event, tunnel event. So now we are going to discuss each and everything. Please listen carefully. What is direct event? Direct, for example, you have, let me draw the application. So let me explain you through the, this is your WPF page. So inside the WPF, you have grid. So let me write it down. Please listen carefully. Page, grid. Please understand very carefully. Stack panel. Now, so this is your WPF page, my dear friends. Now please listen carefully. Please listen carefully. So this is your WPF page. The first is WPF page. You can say the page, and this is the grid window. This is a stack panel. This is a button. So now you can go to here, Visual Studio. You go here. You can see here. You are able to see, right? This is Windows. This is page. This is grid. This is stack panel. This is a button. So same thing I have drawn here. So now you understand this WPF routed even first. Then we are going to see practically. So now the first is, what is the first is direct event. Direct event is something, direct is a event which is going to start with this button, with this one control, and end with this control. I mean to the start and end the same point. So it is going to call direct event. Let me draw this. Please understand very carefully. Direct event. Example for the direct event is button click. So whenever you click on the button, it is not going to, it is going to start with that particular button and it is going to end with that particular button. So that is called direct event. The next point, the next very important is bubbling event. Bubbling event is an event which is going to start from the bottom and it is going to travel up to the grid. So that kind of events we call bubbling events. So let me draw things. So now I'm putting the hierarchy also. It will start with the button and end. Start with start, and let me write down here. So start and end. I mean to say that it is going to travel from bottom to top. So that kind of events we called as a bubbling event. So bubbling. The next is it is going to start from the top and it is going to end with the bottom. So that kind of we called as a tunnel event. Let me select another color. So now you have cleared about this thing. Let me explain you very clearly. So there is a no confusion, my dear friends. So we have a three types of the events in WPF. First is direct event. Direct event is nothing but it is going to start with that particular control, and it is going to end with that particular event. It is going to particular control only. For example, you have a button click event for the button, but mouse enter. Let's take mouse enter or button click. So whenever you click on the button, it is going to start with that button and it is going to end with that that event only. So that kinds of events we called as the direct event. It is not going to travel the up one. So it is going to fire with that particular event only. So that kind of we called as a direct event. So now this is the first point. The second, bubbling event. Bubbling event is something like that. It is going to start with the bottom, any of the bottom. For example, it may stop with the button, it may start with the button, and it is going to end with the page last grid event. Or else it may start with the stack panel, or it is going to be end with the grid. So it is going to travel from the bottom to top. So that kinds of events we called as a bubbling event. So this is very, very important. Next, next is the event which is going to start from the top and it is going to end with the bottom. So it is a vice versa of the bubbling event, I can say. So it is going to start, for example, it is going to start with the grid events and it is going to end with the button event. So it is going to travel. I mean to say that, let me, I will draw the code, no problem. I mean to say that it is going to stop the grid event, and again it will travel to the stack panel event, and again it will come to the button event. So it is going to travel from the top to bottom. So that kinds of events we called as a tunnel event. So very simple. There is no confusion. Very simple. Direct event is nothing but it is going to start with that particular event and it is going to end with that particular event. So that kinds of we called as a direct event. So we know that we have a different events, right? For example, you can see our button click event is there. So many different events are there. So in WPF we have a three types of the events. One is a direct event. WPF routing events. We have a three different types of the WPF routed events. One is a direct event. Second is a bubbling event. Third is a tunnel event. So direct event. See one more point. Whereas in Windows application, for example, you have a Windows application. This is your Windows application. Let's suppose it is a Windows application. In Windows application, you have a only one type of the event is present. That is a direct event. It is not going to be have bubbling event. It is not going to be have any tunnel event. So that's you need to remember. That is the difference between the WPF application and Windows application. In WPF, you have a two more routed events. One is bubbling event and second is tunnel event. So let me summarize of all these things. So direct event is nothing but it is going to start with a particular control and end with that particular control. I mean to say that it is going to start with a particular event and it is going to be end with that particular event. It is not going to travel. It is not going to travel to stack or grid, something like that. So that kinds of events we called as a direct event. The next is bubbling event. Bubbling event is nothing but it is going to stack. It is going to start from the lower part, like button is there, or else it may start from the stack also. It is going to start from the bottom to end. It is going to be up the hierarchy. So it is going to start from the lower level and it is going to end with the higher hierarchy. So so that's kind of events we called as a bubbling event. Now what is the tunnel event? It is going to start from the top and it is going to end with the bottom. So that's kind of event we called as a tunnel event. So let me save this image so that we can have a reference. Posters, screen records. WPF router. So this is all about the routed events, my dear friends. So don't worry about all these things. And let me tell you. So again, I need to tell you one more point. So now we have seen, we have understand the three types of the events, special events in WPF. One is direct event and bubbling event. Third is a tunnel event. Now my question is, what is the advantage of having these kind of events? The first point is why. So why we need to have a, what is the advantage of having the bubbling event, tunnel event? That you may get a question. The answer for that one is, see that, and one more point. We are going to see the practically all these things. Don't worry about the code. How to write the direct event, and what are the example of the direct event? What are the example for the bubbling event? What are the example of the tunnel event? Don't worry about these things. We are going to see practically. So the thing is, first you need to understand what is the importance of the event. Then we are going to see the practically how to write the direct event, bubbling event, and tunnel event. So what is the advantage of the bubbling event? Let me open the same poster so that you can understand. Yes. So now, so what is the advantage about this events is, for example, I have a something requirement, something like that. I want to fire at a time grid event and button event also. From grid to button event, but I want to fire, I want to be execute, I want to be execute event something like that, grid events, stack panel event, button event, these kinds of events I want to be fire. So in that case I can apply, I can create a bubbling event. For example, I have a something requirement like that. First, I would like to fire the grid event, and again, I want to fire the stack panel event again, and after that, the button event. From top to bottom, in that case, I can create a one bubbling event for that requirement, so that I can write a one bubbling event, custom bubbling event. Then I can write something code logic. So that is the advantage of having the bubbling event. So same thing for the tunnel event. I have a something requirement like that. From the top to bottom, I want to execute the all the events so that I can write something logic. So that kind of, we can create events. So that kind of events we can create a logic, something like that. We can write easily the code. So that is the advantage of having this bubbling event and tunnel event. So that's it about the the main thing, my dear friends. Bubbling events. The first is direct event, bubbling event, and tunnel events. So now tomorrow we are going to see the practically how to create, what are the practical events are there currently, what are the present, what are the events are present, events are there, and which one, that one it is a tunnel events or it is a bubbling event. So that we are going to see, and also tomorrow we are going to see the practically how to create one bubbling event, and what is the advantage we are going to see practically. So we are going to write the code for this, all these things we are going to see, because it's a very lengthy one. It may take definitely 1 hour to write the all the code logic and explain. So that is the reason I split the class into two sessions. So today's session we have discussed about the trees. One is the logical tree. See, this is a logical tree, my dear friends. You have a grid, you have a stack panel, you have a button. So it is a visible. So these kind of trees we called as a logical tree. And visual tree, I told you, right, visual tree we are not able to see you. We need to see the visual tree. to to see the visual tree we need to have some proper tools. With the help of proper tools only we can able to see the visual trees. So that is the difference between the visual tree and logical trees. So now again we have discussed about the routed events. So what is the advantage? Routed events are not present in the Windows forms. Routed events, only the normal CLR events are present in the Windows form. Whereas in WPF, we have a routed events. Friends, please remember, this is a compulsory interview question. They are going to ask you this. What is routed events? What are the different types of the routed events are there? Please practice. Please remember this all these things. So tomorrow we are going to see the practically how to create, what are the different events are there, what are the tunnel events code and bubbling events code. So that's it about today's session, my dear friends. If you have a doubts in this today's session, please let me know. Thank you. Thanks a lot.